Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on August 22nd, 2023 at approximately 4:22 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I use in my own day-to-day life, and the philosophies of life I talk about are the ones that actually guide my own personal life in my day-to-day world. Now, with this in mind, we are not talking about tools that may work for you, although that is part of it. We are talking about tools that have been tried and tested by not only myself, but literally thousands of other clients. Now, what I've got here is it's time for us to really start moving forward. And yes, I know this means I repeat myself a lot, but frankly, that seems to be the critical factor here. Now, before I get into it, we have Shadow and Sun in with the gold, and Black Dragon, and I will pull this one for you. Semper Fi to you as well there, Black Dragon. You are in with the silver. Football, you are in with the bronze. And Steve Knox has come in with the honorable mention. Right in behind him, we have Eternity Eternal, and Joe Stewart. And of course, Nathan has come through the door as well. So let us deal with the first part of this. Shadow and Sun with the gold. Where is? There we are. This is the link to Shadow and Sun's live stream. So drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do hit the like button and subscribe to his channel. Then share the daylights out of it. And we have Nathan through the door here. Nathan, where are we? There we are. Now, today happens to be Tuesday, I believe. I just got to double check that. But, and this is Nathan's channel. Okay, so again, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay, the reality is, with the effort we put in right here, right now, we can change the path this world is on. Okay, and what we are looking at is very simple. Okay, the world is in an interesting path right now, but it's up to us, not the so-called elites, not one specific race of people, not one specific, financial loop or orientation. Every single one of you is included in this effort. Okay, now, here's where we get started. Well, we've gotten started on a number of occasions, but let's get a couple of these things out of the way. I've been working in the office most of today. So, it still starts the same way, and you're more than welcome there, Nathan. Glad to help. I was going to check and see if I'm actually looking at Tuesday. And I am. Okay. That's just a question of my trying to keep things organized. Okay. But, I've been keeping tabs on where things are. Now, as you'll notice, this sheet is pretty full. Okay. These are all things I've got to deal with, some of which I've already done. So where did my pen go? And of course, my actual pen isn't right here, so that's okay. Got that out of the way. Got a whole pile that we've got to deal with still. But here's the good news. In spite of having a limited income right now, I just brought my main credit card down a little further and paid my smaller one off completely. So once again, I put a few $100s on it, paid it off. This is the way to make credit cards work for you. Okay, I am by no means a financial advisor, aside from telling you this is what I did, this is what the side effect is. Okay, now, do I have a list of things I've got to get done here? Yeah, absolutely. Not the least of which is my inventory that I got to deal with tonight. And a couple of emails that still have to go. But we start with the obvious issue. Are you content with your life as it currently is? Now, I will tell you right off the bat, I don't know about your neck of the woods, but in my neck of the woods, where fires are all over the place, there is a very big necessity for every one of you in the area, or even if you're not, when you see a first responder, when you see a police officer, reach out to them and let them know you appreciate the work they're doing, because I'm telling you, they've got a job that is a heck of a problem. And I don't know about you, but I would much rather have somebody else walk into a forest fire and deal with it, or for that matter, in a hostage situation, than myself. Primarily because I've got this allergy. It's called lead. I don't like the idea of being shot, and I certainly don't like the idea of burning to death. But you got to remember, every one of these first responders, they have some sort of a social connection. They may have a family, maybe it's just maybe it's friends, just friends. Not really a good way to put that. Okay, but they are putting their lives on the line, and they're putting their families as a second seat. This is something much like the military, the people that step up to defend your community, your neighborhood, your country. Okay, now do understand. And this may set some of you off. And for that, I'll apologize ahead of time for all the good that'll do. I'm a firm believer that defending means, protecting your borders. It does not mean trying to invade somebody else's property because you don't like the way they think. And, the reality is, I am still a firm believer that 90 to 95% of people are really decent people, really desire peace in this world and to get along. There is that small percentage that sadly have figured out how to get into positions of power that are creating extra problems. Now, you desire your life to change. The first thing you got to do is not figure out what you desire your life to be and to look like. No way you can tell that. Okay, not functionally. But you can, however, turn that around a little. You can, however, take a look at where your life is and go, am I happy with what I'm seeing? Am I happy with the way my world is? Okay. If the answer is yes, then stay the course. If the answer is no, it is time to change it. Okay. Hence why, when I told you that this was all going away, I got off the stream yesterday and removed it. Okay. I'm still dealing with things, but that's okay. Right now, I'm looking. Yesterday, I think I ended up, by the time I got done the day, I think I ended up with something in the neighborhood of 23 items on my list taken care of. Got a whole pile to work with tonight, so I'll be dealing with that. But we just, how do you, let's think first, speak second. What do you think? Maybe that'll work. But take a look at where your world is. Okay, and do understand, whether you are human, Terran, hybrid, anything, doesn't matter. And Ken, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I trust your day has been going well. The reality of it is, we've got an opportunity here right now to start looking at the positive side. Now, some of you are looking at programs, are looking at ideas, and making calculations, and you're concentrating on What if this goes wrong? Okay, and yeah, you do have to look at that. That is a possibility. But let me ask you this. What if it doesn't? And I will tell you, that will scare the majority of you more than if something goes sour. Okay, many of you have been taught that, expect the worst, and that's what you plan for. I learned something a little different. Brace for the worst. In other words, look at things going sour. Absolutely. Plan for the best. What is the best outcome you could possibly have? That's what you start making your plans for. But you live for the moment, because right here, right now is the only time you can make any change. Okay. Now I saw a post on Facebook just before I got on, before I fired this up. There was a chap, he was sitting down and he had a sign out. Absolutely there, Nathan. Fear of success is the biggest problem. And one of the biggest problems, but we've been taught, fear that which you don't understand. That which you fear, strive to control. That which you cannot control, strive to destroy. And that which you cannot destroy, fear. Okay. Now, when I was talking to the government the other day, I told them flat out, whether I get their support or not, I'm building an empire. That's just the way it is. I'm going to the top, and I'm taking as many of you as I can get away with to go with me. Because they tell me it's lonely up there, and I just don't feel like being lonely. Sad part is I can be on my own and quite happily content. But I digress. On Facebook, I saw this picture of a chap. He was sitting down. He was sitting down. He had a can in front of him. I'm blind. Please help. And everybody walked by him. Okay, nobody put money in. Okay, but sooner or later, another young lass come along. Okay. Yeah, Nathan goes, hey, sue the government. They were thrilled to hear you building an empire on their soil. Do understand an empire doesn't have to be controlled by firearms. Okay, I'm going to have my fingers in as much as I can get away with. I'm only 65. 60. No, that's wrong. I'm only 60. I will be 65 eventually. But I'm only, in my eyes, halfway through my life. I'm aiming for 137 plus. But this guy that had the tin can out, he had a cardboard sign that says, I am blind, please help. Everybody walked past him. Then a young lass came along, took the sheet, took his sign, flipped it around, wrote on the back of it. Okay. And she wrote the sign down and put the sign back. And then walked off. Everybody else after that's coming along, dropping money. And at the end of it, she come back to check. And the guy looks at her and goes, what did you write on my sign? And they show the sign. And this is where marketing comes in extremely well. All she wrote was, it's a beautiful day out and I can't see it. Okay, it's simply saying the same thing. I'm blind, without calling attention to the fact he was blind. Now, in your guys' case, take a look at the way your life is. Are you content with it as is? I know in my case, I'm not content. Hence why, okay, I went at it today. And you'll notice that funny little thing that we had all kinds of junk on. Okay. I got that all turned around. And now, once again, the clutter that was on my bed is gone. And in this case, it ain't going back because I've already gotten rid of everything I put on it. I hate that word. Not the word it, the word gotten. I just don't like the sound of it. But I haven't figured out a better one just yet. Now, what have we got? 1, 2, 3. Where? Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got a long way to go with stuff I gotta get dealt with, but since I'm not content with the way my life is, okay, I have to look at this and go, what's the next step? Well, I've got the books, I've got the inventory, and tonight I'll be doing a final inventory count to make sure I know what I'm dealing with. Okay. But tonight I have to start posting on what the different books are, because I will tell you, in order to build an empire, I can't do it if I'm invisible. I've lived most of my life in the shadows, quite intentionally, I might add. But let me ask you this. Now, I'm going to ask you a real blunt question here. Just because I'm going to try and set something up while I'm on air, because it's on my mind. Nathan, question for you specifically. After this stream, which ends in about 2 hours here, do you think you'll be open for a short phone call, video, whatever? Okay. If so, hey Cowie, how you doing? If so, Nathan, I will schedule it in right away and make sure that I can make that happen. Cowie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, okay. Well, we won't do it tonight or tomorrow, then, Nathan. For some reason, work kind of has to come first. Okay, but let's see. Tonight is. Let me just take a look at my calendar. Oh, that was painful. Okay, can't get that for a moment. And I'm just not putting stuff back on the table yet. Okay, where are we? Tonight is Tuesday. Okay, well, that being said, because obviously we can't do it for Tuesday. We can't do it tonight, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday's a write-off. However, Friday at this point, I am not booked. Okay, which may work out very well on that end, but that depends on you. That was called supper. I never got a chance to get rid of it. Get that moved down there. All I'm doing is getting the stuff off of my desktop calendar, so I can actually work, so I can actually see what I'm booking. Might be an idea, really, when you think about it. So yeah, I realize I'm out of view right now, but that kind of happens in my world. In case you hadn't quite noticed. Tell me. Okay. Well, we start with shooting for it and see what we can work out. For me, because I am not scheduled to be on anybody's show at this point, myself included, after 6:30, obviously, I will leave it in your hands, Nathan. Let's see if we can make this happen, because quite frankly, nothing happens if we don't actually put the effort into it. You know that better than I do. Lawrence, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I really am happy with the turnout that's starting to come here. That we're starting to get. I mean, this is fantastic, because I'll tell you, the support that I see going throughout this chat room with everybody, okay, has been phenomenal. Cowie, in answer to your question, The fires are doing great. No, they got a lot of fuel, but no, there's been more and more callback and more rescinding of evacuated areas. We are by no means out of danger. It's just the last few days have been cool, but next week we're expecting dry lightning, which, by the way, does not bode well. I came to the conclusion that talking about making change is a great idea, but doesn't accomplish much of anything. Okay, let me ask you this. Like Nathan's going, a few TikTok creators are saying Kelowna was burned to nothing. I'm sitting in Kelowna. Does this look like a burned out husk? Okay, do not take anybody's word for it. Talk to people that are actually there. Okay, now I will tell you, if my house was burned, I wouldn't be sitting here going, oh, by the way, my house burned to a shell. I'm just really quick at rebuilding. Okay. The reality of it is this. Okay. And this is why I tell you, do not just take my word for things. Yeah, that is possible, Lawrence. Lawrence is just going, well, maybe your flat's in a protective bubble. It's possible. I didn't put it there. That's not true. I actually did. But the protective bubble I put my flat in, and I'm taking it by that term, Lawrence, you've got to be in England somewhere. But, I put a protective bubble around mine. I talk to the animals, I talk to the plants, and I talk to the elements themselves in order to ensure that I'm doing what I can to assist them. And I'm open to getting their assistance and their guidance where it's applicable. Okay, now, no, I do not expect everybody to be able to do that automatically. However, do I teach people how to do that? The answer is yes. Okay, and this is why I said one of the primary reasons I came back to this world was to show people how that can be done. Oh, okay. Yeah, Lawrence is just going, no, I just spent some time in the UK and I prefer that term to an apartment. There's a lot, in case you hadn't noticed, I use a lot of older terms. Okay. And quite honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb here and really tick somebody off. I still look at the term gay and go, that means you're happy. Period. I don't care about the rest of it. Okay. I really don't, because from my standpoint, what a name dictates doesn't really amount to much. It's how you treat the people around you. Okay. In my case, it's a very simple issue of being certain that you treat people the way you desire to be treated. The rest of it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters in as much as it is guiding the dissension caused by changing a name and by altering that is incredible. But the other thing has been done as well. Okay, and I got a kick out of this one in a twisted sort of way. A number of years ago, okay, the United States government, this was something I stumbled across. The United States government went, oh, we have a massive problem with people that are overweight. So, with people being overweight and it being a health issue. So they came up with a rather novel idea. Well, it was tried and true in a lot of ways. But what they did was they went, okay, we got too many people that are overweight. So let's not address the eating habits or the additives that are being put in your food to make you gain weight and hence stop you from losing it while it makes you hungry. And we'll just give it a new designation. And we'll call anybody over 500 pounds overweight. Okay, we'll call them morbidly obese. Now, amazingly, it had the exact effect they were intending. The number of people that were overweight, that were classified overweight, dropped almost overnight by 2 million people. Now, coincidentally not, the morbidly obese scale jumped from 0 to 2 million. Now that looks like the weight dropped, because all of a sudden we cured part of the problem. Brilliant idea. Let's call it a different name, and the numbers changed, and most people seem to have bought it. Okay, and then the doctors came out and said, hey, here's an idea. You cannot drop weight by cutting back on what you eat and by exercising a little. Okay, I'm telling you, that's just a flat out lie. Okay, it's simple mathematics. If you're aiming at dropping weight, and by the way, this does apply to this idea of getting back in order. We'll get to that in 10 seconds, but a little longer. If you cut back on the amount of calories you're putting in your body, then when you drop it below the amount you're expending, you will drop weight. Now, I looked at myself in the mirror about 2 years ago and went, I hit 246. I'm not hitting 250. Okay, so I cut back on the amount I was eating. I changed my diet a little and dropped below 200. Now, recently, I've started changing it again, and altering the diet from what I was going through, adding a little more in the way of fruits and vegetables, still more activity, and a whole lot more planning. It's a question of take a look at what you consider success, not what I do. Yeah, Cowie, here, I do agree with you. Cowie goes, fasting does help if you can tolerate not eating for long periods. Here's the thing. I do agree that it works. But for me, it boils down to this. I quit eating when I go to bed. Okay. Net result, I get 3 or 4 hours of fasting because that's about all I sleep at the time. Yeah, and absolutely. But be certain that while you're fasting, you are still taking in the necessary nutrients. Okay. One thing I will tell you, Nathan, and it worked like a charm for me. I was having troubles, and what I did was I went on to an electrolytic balance. Okay, and I've shown you guys that particular package before. It's packed. I don't think I've got it in there. I might. Okay, but you still make certain that you're getting the minimums that you require, which does not mean you have to eat a 3-course meal. Okay, it really doesn't. Yeah, Cowie goes, I usually fast from 5 p.m. to 11 a.m., but drink lots of water. Yeah, and Lawrence, that's fantastic. Curiosity, how long did it take you to drop the 45 pounds? If you don't mind sharing. Because I'll tell you, my dropping 45 pounds was dropping 20% of my weight. Okay, net result, more energy, clearer thinking, whole lot more focus. And now it's just a question of making certain I get everything organized properly, one step at a time. Okay, but again, it does require effort. And the first thing you got to realize is that you are actually able to do it. Do not buy into the idea that you can't do it. Let me ask you this. Okay, aside from the size of my pocketbook, okay, can you think of one difference between me and between myself? Okay, instead of having you look in the mirror. Okay, that's excellent there, Lawrence. 45 pounds at 3 to 4 months is about 10 pounds a month. Okay. Now that means it was a little fast for what I found is functional, if you will. See, I looked at it and went, if you're dropping 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a week, aka you're dropping 6 to 8 pounds a month. you're doing good. Now, this is excellent though. But instead of getting you to look in the mirror, I'd like you to consider this. Okay. What is the difference aside from the pocketbook? Okay. What is the difference that you can see between myself and, let's say, Elon Musk, where it applies to my ability to create an empire? Okay. Just a curiosity thing, because the point being this: from my standpoint, there's no difference between any of you and any one of the multimillionaires out there, aside from the size of their pocketbooks. And that's a matter of timing. Okay. Now, I mean, I'm looking at this going, I'm not stopping for anybody. Okay. I've got a goal in my own head. I've hit 60 years old. I've already looked 4 years down the road and gone, I'm already preparing myself that if I have to take a driver's test when I hit 65, or not a driver's test rather, but if I've got to go to the doctor and prove I'm medically functional, I may well just give up on the whole license thing. But then I don't travel a whole lot, so it's not a real big deal. I'll figure that one out in about 4 years. At this point, it's just one of those things I'm looking at. But I'm taking a look at the way this whole situation is and going, how do we get this to work a little better? Okay. And the first thing you have to realize is if you're changing your world, first of all, identify what you're not content with. Okay. And yes, there is no question, and when I say there's no question, I'm referring to this. Where are we? 1, 2, 3. These little books are the backbone of how I changed my life. Very easy to understand, or at least I like to think so. One person was read this one. They sent me a letter stating, yeah, it's very simplistic, but it made all the other really thick books easier to understand. One of the biggest tricks that I found is this. When you are outside, when you're meeting people, doesn't matter who they are, smile at them. Okay. Now you may not have the self-confidence yet to start saying hi, but just a simple smile, okay, will help immensely. Now I will tell you this, okay, and I do encourage you, and in all fairness, I'm asking you to join me on actually propagating a new pandemic, okay, one that's very simple, safe for everybody. You won't run into any toilet paper shortages. It is simply smile, okay, because it's the one gift when you give it to somebody else, if they return it to you, nobody ever complains. It's like, what are you smiling at me for? It's amazing, but people just don't complain about that. With that in mind, it's time to take that to the next level. Okay. In other words, in other words, what that means is you desire your life to change. Start making it happen. Okay. I got to double check with my son, but I think my son has already ordered me a new mic for this computer system. We haven't looked into headsets yet because I don't know if they're required. Okay, but we'll figure that out. Right now, as he put it, and you guys that run your own streams, your input would be greatly appreciated. And because of my setup here, okay, Lawrence, I'm all for it. I'm absolutely all for it. Starting a pandemic of senseless acts of kindness. Just do something nice for the next guy. Yeah, I was debating the headset because, of course, if I have a headset on, let's face it, my getting up to move isn't going to work well. Unless I can get my son to set up a Bluetooth. I know the computer is capable of doing so. My knowledge of the poor thing is not great. But that's not a bad idea. So, because of the fact, well, I like getting up to move anyway. Give me 10 seconds. I'm going to set something in motion because procrastination doesn't work well. Okay, I am back. Just set my eldest son on the path to find me a proper set of speakers and a headset. But normally I look at wired. With the headset, I want to be able to actually move. So we'll see what he comes up with. Where are we here? D. Henderson, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I trust your day has been going well. You know, and what do we got here? Nathan is on the clock in 10 seconds. You know, the reality of it is this just got off work. Bonus. Yeah, I was kind of forced into that idea. It turns out, mind you, they closed the company I was working for, apparently writing 24 books simultaneously or concurrently or whatever you want to call it. Okay, isn't called retirement, but what the heck? Oh, okay. Don't mind me. My son keeps having to tell him. My youngest son keeps coming around the corner. He'll say something. I'll look at him. He's like, Dad, that was a joke. I kid you not, I'm one of the densest people I've ever run into where it comes to spotting that kind of thing. But what am I looking at here? Oh, it's a nice little detail. See what I've got going on. Oh. Okay, I'll have to deal with her afterwards. I'm just taking a look at the stuff I've got on the go here. It's amazing the amount of stuff that's happening. Now, what is this? Now, is that ever good news? I'm looking at this, and like I said, Okanagan process for property. Oh, now here is some phenomenal news, at least for the people in my area. Okay, we just got an emergency operations update. Not only are they starting to send people back, now they just popped up a notice that says, if you've got property damage, we can now start to look at it. This is phenomenal news. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said the last time we had this hit, which, by the way, was 20 years ago, we were at this mess for a month to a month and a half solid. This has only been a few weeks, I think. But they're already starting to look at property damage, and that is phenomenal. And again, really big hats off to the firefighters, the police, the emergency responders, and every single individual that has been pitching in to help people. It's just a phenomenal sense of camaraderie that's coming in. Okay. But Yeah, when I walked out of here, I just went and talked to my son and asked him to start looking for the upgrades that I require. The computer itself is staying put as is. You know, but I'm looking at this going, where do we go from here? Well, I'll tell you, as soon as I get off like tonight, I'll finish here at 6:30, right? 6:30 local time. And for the next 4 to 6 hours, I'll be sitting in my office writing, updating stuff that I've got to get dealt with. But it boils down to one step at a time. Now, what is today? We are looking at that. Oh, the reason I decided I was going to look at taking the next step, do understand something very necessary here. Whether you're human, something else, another race, another species, doesn't matter. This still applies. When you desire your life to change, when you desire to draw prosperity to you, the first thing that is absolutely imperative is those funny four words. You know, I was going to call it 4 words, but if you do it with 4 letters, it's Iawi. I am worth it. We. Now, I'm not entirely certain how that works out, but I figured it was an odd thing to know. Make your mind up. Like, give yourself permission to be the most successful you ever have been. Okay? This is the time to take your world from where it is and change it to what you desire it to be. Okay? It was funny. I handed my son was having problems with his throat today because the smoke has been just retarded. You know, it's just been annoying. But I asked him to do the same thing I've asked you guys to do. When you're feeling ill, when you're feeling under the weather, okay, run that one simple word through your head. Heal. Now my son took it one step further, and he took his hand, put his hand on his throat, and sat there for 10, 15 minutes going, in his own head, heal. And he looked at me when I come out, and he goes, I didn't think it would work, Dad. Right? He said, I put my hand there, and I can breathe a little easier. That's the power of the ability of healing your own body. Okay. Now, I'm clearing the energy up in my apartment here, in this room specifically, and I can virtually guarantee, and with clearing everything off the bed behind me, I can virtually guarantee that I'll end up sleeping better. Clear the clutter out of your workspace. It's absolutely imperative. Now here's the thing. This one, believe in yourself and follow your dreams, targets you, the individual. This one, believe in your business and follow your dreams, targets your business. Now understand, business may be a small business, maybe a grocery store, maybe you're a little bigger, maybe you've got a couple of branches. Okay, maybe you're an international conglomeration. Or perhaps you simply have a house that you're running. That's your business. Maybe your business is just your school time. This gives you the backbone to it. Then we take a look at this one. Believe in your finances and follow your dreams. This doesn't tell you how to invest, except in how to invest in you. Because I'll tell you, that's the best investment you'll ever make. At least in my experience. And what we got? Absolutely, they're Black. Black, and by the way, welcome aboard there, Black Dragon. Glad you can join us. Actually, I think you've been here for a bit, but as Black Dragon says, believe in yourself, trust yourself, but most of all, love yourself. Okay, take a look in the mirror. Are you content with the way you are? Okay, You'll notice I wasn't content with all of this in. So what did I do? Obviously, I didn't cut it even completely even. I'll live with it. I wasn't content with it the way it was. So I removed it. Okay, and like I told my other half, yeah, I'm going to remove the beard and the mustache. Absolutely. Sorry, sideburns are staying. I'm pretty certain a lot of that has to do with the fact that my father was he always had sideburns until the last week of his life. You know, and I don't know why they removed his sideburns. You know, maybe it was like Heracles. You know, cut the sideburns off, he loses his ability. Well, thank you very much, Sir D. You know, from my standpoint, I look at it going this way. I am going to be upgrading, but I haven't figured out what I desire in the way of an upgrade, in the way of clothing. I do know that I've got to change my image. And it's not a question of clothing makes the people. And here's why clothing doesn't make the person. If clothing made the person, okay, then every single person in the military or every person in a uniform in a school, like a private school that uses uniforms, every one of them would behave exactly the same way. However, clothing does affect the way you look at yourself. I do tend to concur with you there, Nathan. Although I know in my case, you know, I used to have hair that was literally, it used to come all the way down to here. Okay, am I going to grow it that long again? Not intending on it, especially given that my other half prefers it shorter, and this works very easily. But like I told my hairdresser the last time I went about 6 months ago, yeah, I'll cut the hair short, but I'm not changing the style because I will tell you this: this is so much easier to comb that way. Okay, but I don't get near the knots that I got when my hair was that long. However, I will tell you, it really boils down to how you see yourself. Okay. And the sad part is, when I was growing up, I always had a high forehead. But when I was growing up, I literally had come to believe that if you took LOSER, I literally saw myself that way. I had the self-esteem of a crushed thimble. You know, I wouldn't talk to anybody about how I was feeling because I honestly didn't feel that my input was of any value at all. Okay. Now here's a neat little question for you then, Nathan. I know how thick mine is. And when I was working for Dairy Queen, we were in the middle of a lunch rush. And I'd come around the corner to drop something in the sink, and somebody opened the cupboard beside me. Caught me right here with the edge of the cupboard door. All I felt was a shift in direction and got back into the kitchen, carried on with the lunch rush. At the end of the lunch rush, my boss cries out, he goes, "What the happened?" So I come into the kitchen, and here it is. This is how I found out somebody opened the door. I caught here, I never even broke the skin on my forehead. But I took the door off, the side wall, and 2 of the shelves out. Right, just by simply using my head. You know, needless to say, when I talk about having a thick skull, I'm actually not really kidding. You know, I mean, you'd think I was a dwarf when I was growing up because not only did I have the hard forehead, but I drank like a flaming fish. You know, as in, I would drink anything that came in front of me, assuming it was drinkable. Unlike some people out there that go, "Oh, poison is a good idea to drink." I'm like, not really. You know, I've tried the death by poison, but not by my own doing. So, you know, just take that one as it is. But you desire to change your life. The first thing you got to look at is where your life is. What are you not content with? I know I've got to get out in public a little more. Okay, I know I've got to start Actually, where is it? That is, oh, those things. Gotta do inventory and what have you. But I definitely have to start posting regarding the books. Okay. And absolutely, I've mentioned this a number of times. I am reaching out to people. I'm going to actually drop an ad and make sure that it says it the way I desire it to. Because what I'll do is I'll draw it up, bounce it off my other half, because she is my editor, and I'll tell you she's picky as all get out where it comes to editing. Blinder in the bat, she sees more than most people I know. So I'm going to drop, and I'll probably draw this up tonight, because if I don't, it's going to be a simple issue of, well, what am I doing? Thank you so much for the update there, Joe. I don't keep as close an eye as I could be. But no, that's absolutely fantastic. Joe was just letting us know that we've got 8 likes already. And currently we've got 9 in the chat room. It's neat. The last couple of times, the last few days, I turned around, I was looking at it. Okay. And like, this show is only 2 hours long. But the last 2 shows that went out there was 20 hours of viewing within the first couple of days. Okay. It's such a wonderful boost from my standpoint, especially when you think a couple of years ago, well, just a year ago, I debated shutting the whole thing down because I just didn't feel that I was making any headway where I required it or where the world required it. But with the support and the encouragement I got from the people in this chat room, it has changed drastically. Now I'm starting to get out of the shadows, starting to walk out into public. Okay. No, I'm still reclusive. I still enjoy being at home and hiding. But I have come to the conclusion that unless, like I'm telling you, unless I make the effort to get up and make something happen, it's not going to happen. And all the wishful thinking in the world doesn't do it. Okay. I love it when people say, oh, just believe in it, just believe in the possibility. It's a great idea. I will tell you, doesn't work if you don't do anything. Well, I do appreciate that, D. I really do. Spaced out. And for those of you that don't know, where are we here? This is, like, I got on to Spaced Out Radio. I'm not even certain how it came about, but I got on to Spaced Out Radio. I believe it was in March. Would have been about 2015. 2015? Yeah, would have been about 2015. Okay. And that's the link to Spaced Out Radio. I'm usually, I am on the last 8 years. I've been on the first Friday of every month. The reality of it is that when I look at it, the fact that I'm actually helping people, and I was absolutely stunned by the number of emails and comments I received from people going, no, don't, because I was talking about shutting it down. And people from all over the place were going, no, don't shut it down. And I dug my heels in and went, okay, I'm not going to bother. At this point, I'm going to grow it. Okay. So right now I'm on, and of course, if you look at the bottom of this, underneath this video, you'll find how to get to me. But I'm on FaceTime. Well, I am on FaceTime, but I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. Okay, you can actually find me on Snapchat. Okay, and I came to the conclusion that, I get a lot of really dense calls, i.e., oh, your SIN number's been rescinded. I'm like, bonus, so I don't have to pay tax. Or I like the ones that go, oh, there's been a kind of problem at customs with a shipment you're trying to bring in. So I'm like, Oh, thanks for the heads up. Now I can run and get away. Yo, I am not adverse to hanging up on people, which, by the way, apparently is rude. The funny part about it, and I am looking, where is it? Over there. Whoa, that was a bad move. What, pray tell, did I do? I am actually over here looking for something that apparently isn't going to show up rapidly. And since it's not, I'm not going to beat myself black and blue over it. But I came to one very simple issue. Yeah, usually. It's funny because I mean, there's all sorts of ways you can deal with scam artists. I just come to Ferret, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I just came to the conclusion that sometimes it's not a real big problem, but the second they want something critical that they want, oh, what's your credit card number? Yeah, like I'm going to tell you that. It's like you're the one telling me that my credit card is overdrawn. You better have the number in your hand because I don't have a lot of use for it. But this is why I say one of the critical factors you have to look at. If you desire to change your life, you've got to look at the positive side. You've got to look at what is possible, not what is impossible. Remember, if it's impossible, alter the thought line to I'm possible. Okay, I'm a walking anomaly. I know this for a certainty. But I also know, as people have said in the past, all that I do, thou shalt do, and more. Meaning, whatever I'm capable of doing, you've got the same capacity. Okay, probably better in many ways. For me, electronic work, not a real good idea. I'm partially colorblind, short-sighted, and my hand shakes like a leaf. This is not a good thing to work with explosives for. I don't believe in the impossible either, although I will tell you there, Lawrence, the one thing I do believe is that the odds may be stacked against you. Okay. In other words, one of the very big issues is you have to take a look at it and go, you really have to take a look at it. And you go, well, if I step off the balcony, the odds are I'm going to bounce. This idea that you won't bounce, that you won't fall, not good odds. I'm just looking back here because Joe said, and Joe was taking, I said something about Nathan saying something hilarious. Went back up here and talking about scams. I answer those scam calls with a well-rehearsed UFO hotline. Would you like to make a report? Have you seen lights in the sky? Have you spoken to an alien? They usually hang up by then. Which is so much more fun in some ways. From my standpoint, I don't do it that way. Mind you, I do applaud you there, Nathan. I know one person that literally, when it comes to credit card things, he literally he'll keep them on the phone for half an hour to an hour, jacking them around, and just giving them false information. Now that's always a shock for you there, Nathan? You're trying to be funny, trying to shut down a scam artist. And have you seen lights in the sky? Well, as a matter of fact, I have, but I didn't know who to talk to. Things like this, that's where serendipity comes in handy. Now, that is an interesting setup, Black. I've never actually seen that particular meme, but that would be entertaining to see if you have any idea where you found it. I know I've made an impact with some people. It's like I tell people, every single person I ever meet, I make happy. Every single one of them, without exception. Some of them by my showing up, most of them by my leaving. I don't know. From my standpoint, I just never came to the conclusion that that was really that big of a deal. I was talking to one gentleman and said, "Look, I don't desire to be on a pedestal. Period. I'm not perfect. I am not an expert. Yes, I'm a specialist. Yes, I've got insights into things that other people don't. Absolutely. Every one of you guys has the same ability. Different fields in all likelihood, but you've all got your strengths. You've all got your weaknesses. And it's by combining all of those strengths that we're going to change this world for the better. Okay. As long as we put our combined effort together on it. Now, I look at it this way and go, you desire your life to change. Pick what you're not content with. That's the first thing you take a look at. Well, first thing, make sure you feel that you start telling yourself, even if you don't believe it. Okay. Even if you don't believe it, tell yourself anyway. Now, this funny little binder here, right? When I sell a book, okay, it doesn't matter what book, I always send out these bookmarks. Okay. Yes, that's the title of the first self-help one I put together. Lawrence, thank you so much for joining us. Really, really happy that you did. And do have a good night for the rest of the time until we meet again. But on the one side, it shows that. The other one is this wonderful little statement. Okay, ready to go on your fridge, ready to go in your book, in whatever book you're reading. Okay, very important in my eyes. Okay. I am doing my level best to make things work a little faster. Because I don't know about you, but I'm really tired of sitting still and just spinning my wheels, as it were. I am curious. If we go, no, not down there. We'll go up here. And we will just do this because I'm just curious to see if it'll pop. And we expand that. Yeah, it could be doing a lot of things. The important factor from my standpoint is this. Okay, if you're not content with your world, now's the time to change it. How do you go about changing it? Well, that's the easy part. Okay, first and foremost, pick one thing, just one, that you're not content with. Okay, and make a modification to that one item. Okay, and it may just be a question of, I'm not happy with my coffee cup sitting over here, so I'm going to move it over here. In all fairness, I probably should. It would encourage me to use my left hand a little more because it's so much easier. Well, in all fairness, right now it's not. Let us take a peeky here. I will have to go and hunt it down just because now I'm curious. But no, from my standpoint, it really boils down to this. When you start looking at your life, do not look at what you think your life could be like. This is one of the most debilitating points, because you're gambling that in 2-3 years you may like what you're aiming for. When you choose to look at today, absolutely, Black Dragon, you are absolutely correct there. The thing is, and this is why I decided to put the newsletter together, which, by the way, yeah, it hasn't come out this month, but I gave myself a direction to make sure I had it out by the end of the month. I'll tell you, fires can really screw up your day, can really screw up your timing. But the reality of it is, all we have to do is point in the same direction. Everybody pick up a handful of that rope and start pulling the society back into a positive interaction. This is what we have to, and what it would be wise for us to really focus on. Now, the other thing that when you're looking at, once you know what you're not content with, and you start changing things around, that's when your life will start to change. You'll clear the energy, clear the clutter out of your life, and all of a sudden you've got more energy than you know what to do with. Ouch, that was painful. I don't recommend doing that, by the way. I'm just looking over here. I got a bunch of stuff I've got to start dealing with. Some of it I'm keeping, some of it will go the way of the dodo birds. But what are we today? Oh, of course. Now, I was talking to, it was funny because I was talking to a few people quite a number of years back now, by the way, but I was literally having a conversation with some of the Sarkon historians to find out how they turned around and made their empire work. And we're talking about going back millennia for what they did, but it still applies today. You take a look at where your life is. And now, I asked a question earlier today. Okay. That being, when you look at me, what, aside from the size of my pocketbook, what is, if any, the difference between me and one of these so-called multi-billionaire elites? Okay. Aside from my pocketbook, quite frankly, there's nothing to write nice things home about. The same question, by the way, quite literally applies to you. Why and what is it that's holding you back? Okay. Is it a question of you don't have the capability, or have you simply convinced yourself that you're too afraid to step into the light? Okay. And this is quite often the biggest challenge, is that we're taught that we have to fail at it. Where are we here? Yeah. The sad part about that, Black, and I've heard that so many times, that people have been banned on Twitter or banned on Facebook for asking the wrong question. About a year ago, I said something on one of my streams that made a comment. Thank you so much, Nathan. I do appreciate that. Both you and Black. I mean, for me, it's a weird setup. But let us take a look. Pull that over. Take it up on that side. Whoops. Then we close that, and that is phenomenal. That really is. You know, I gotta thank you guys because that's got to be one of the most that's got to be one of the most bizarre setups I've run into. And rest assured, I've run into an awful lot of them. You know, the neat little thing, there's one thing about the future, D, that I can absolutely guarantee is going to happen. The future. Aside from that, change will happen. Now, people for centuries have been taught, they've literally been taught, fear that which you don't understand. That which you fear, strive to control. That which you cannot control, strive to destroy. And that which you cannot destroy, fear. Okay. Well, I believe in the other side of it. Seek that which you don't understand. That which you don't understand, question. That which you don't get an answer for, question again. Eventually, you'll get an answer. It may not be the answer you're seeking. Okay, but it will be the answer you require. And for those of you that don't know, the answer to the question of life is 42. Oh, wait a minute, that was the wrong question. But read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's twisted, but it's enjoyable. What pray tell did there? Move my coffee to the left side of the room, and all of a sudden I can't find the coffee. You know, one of the things that you have to really look at with life is you're the one in control. You're the one that can decide, are you going to buy into everybody's limitations of you, or worse, are you going to buy into your own, which was the mistake I made. I call it a mistake because I know better now. Okay, it was true ignorance before, and true procrastination because I do not like this door open. Actually, I don't mind it open, but you really don't require it. Yeah, and by the way, that blue bag there, that's just medication if we do get evacuated, but it's looking better and better that we won't have to worry about it. Now, the neat little thing is this. Okay, when I look at it, I was talking to a chap one day, and I said, look, I do not desire to be on a pedestal. I really don't. I'm not afraid of heights, but I just don't see myself as any better than anybody else. The guy looks at me and goes, Keith, he says, understand, you cannot stop people from putting you on a pedestal, but you can certainly stop yourself from looking at the world as though you are on a pedestal. Okay. And I took that to heart and went, okay, I can work with that. Now it's a question of taking everything I'm seeing and going, okay, I can't prove most of it, but you can. Okay. Can I prove this works? I can prove it works for me. Other people that have bought it, that have purchased it, have been able to find it from them, have been able to prove that it worked for them. The tools are as simple as I can make them. Okay. And that's what I'm working on with the other ones I'm dealing with. Okay. I started designing 3 poetry and poetic anthologies. Okay. I started putting together 3 poetic anthologies. I just can't do anything with it just yet until I find out from the guy from Community Futures whether they took me on. If they took me on, then I can start dealing with it. If not, and they turn me down, then I'll start dealing with it anyway. Now, what is this? Oh. See, I'm going to have to go down that road too. I'm literally, Nathan, you've got your ad from Vistaprint is on my computer right now. Okay. Regarding travel mugs, photo keychains, custom mugs, and print caps. These are on your ad on Vistaprint is already there. Question for you though, is it paying off for you? Forgot about that one, did you? Yeah, I just glanced up, and it's up here on my screen, which from my standpoint is great. It's one of those areas I've been looking at, but I just got to make sure I get things done in the right order. Oh, well, now you know for certain it did. Now, hopefully, you're getting a paycheck for it. I have no idea what that is, but that just gives me something else to talk to you about when we do connect. It's not like we didn't have enough anyway, but priority one, where it comes to connecting with you, is literally regarding that project you're working on. Oh, I don't know. I'll see if I can catch it before it disappears. Let me see here. We go. I'm trying to figure out how I can actually deal with that. Open the video in a new tab and see what that does for me. Ah, okay. Oh, well, that is not of much use. Doesn't show me what the actual ad is. And I just lost it. So the answer, unfortunately, Nathan, is no. I wish I could, but it just dropped. That being said, I do know that it was Vistaprint that came up. Wonder, probably not. If I go there. Trying to remember how to spell. Yeah, unfortunately, what I was looking at is now gone. But I'm sure you can find it if you look on. I just don't have a clue on how to sort it around too terribly much. But when you take a look at your life, if you're content, this is fantastic. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, digital spies are all over. Just got an ad on my Amazon front page. The coffee I have to work on the coffee I have at work on the counter never mentioned the name. Well, yeah, and this is the unfortunate part. Where is go back in there and we pop this. Now, from my standpoint, it really boils down to this. Okay, you desire your life to change. You're the one that's going to have to do it. Now, absolutely, I encourage you to talk to people that have actually done something with it. Okay, that have actually successfully done what you're aiming for. In my case, marketing is not my strong suit. Matter of fact, it's debatably one of my worst ones. But I do know that with the proper effort, virtually everything is possible. Do I know exactly how to make it all come together? Not yet. Am I going to eventually know either? See, the thing is, if you think you have to know everything about your industry, you're absolutely off kilter. The most successful CEOs and business owners out there are not the ones that know how to do everything. They're the ones that know how to find the people that know how to do the things. Okay. And this is one of the reasons why I'm going to, as a matter of fact, I'll end up definitely doing it tonight and sending it over to my other half, who happens to be my editor, not to mention my executive assistant. And one day, when she gets her tail feathers across the border, she'll change from being my girlfriend to my fiance and eventually to my wife, given that she actually says yes. And for obvious reasons, I cannot tell you that she will say yes, certainly hoping. The fact of the matter is, though, you desire your life to shift. You desire to become successful. Okay? There's a couple of things that you've got to have in mind. Number one, you've got to have a purpose. Why are you planning on becoming successful? What are you going to do with it? Okay, you've got to have the purpose. You've got to have a plan. How are you going to do it? And that boils down to that funny little thing I mentioned about your list. Okay, plan. Change everything you're not content with, anything that is holding you back from your success. Start altering the energy about it. Okay, then you've got to have, let's see, which one comes next? Purpose, plan. You've got to have perspective. I think that's wrong. I do think that is very wrong. Because you require your purpose, your plan, you do need persistence, but there's another one that fit in there. I've got it written. I actually started writing a book to that effect. But I'm going to have to rethink that one because I'm missing a word. I'm drawing a total blank. The thing is, when you decide, I've struggled long enough, it's time to start changing that. Now, I know each and every one of you has a plan, has a goal. Most of you are tired of fighting day to day. Most of you have absolutely had enough of it. Okay. And, this is one of those things that you really have to take a look at. Okay. And ask yourself, am I content? Am I happy with where things are? If not, what can I do to change it? Okay. Now, I will tell you, Dee, like Dee's just saying, yeah, I'm exhausted. I'll tell you right now, and it may not make a lot of sense. Start because you're exhausted. Take a look at your bedroom. Okay. Anything that is adding clutter to your bedroom, get it out of the bedroom. You may end up finding you have to put it in a closet or somewhere out in another part of the room, but in another part of the house. But get the stuff that is cluttering your bedroom out of the way. Because you clear the energy up in your bedroom, you will get better rest. Okay, don't just take my word for it. Okay, if you haven't done this, do it and see what happens. But I will tell you, and this is why I mentioned this earlier. When I cleared the bed off, by the way, give you an idea of what I ended up doing. This little thing here That's actually handmade by me because I sat down and decided I was going to do it. But you clear the excess out of the way, okay, and that energy will open the door for you to actually get a lot more rest than you're expecting. And again, don't take my word for it. Give it a shot, see what happens. And I'm not saying get rid of everything you've got by any functional stretch. Okay, this is why I say you may find you'll have to pick it up, move it to a shelf somewhere, but get it out of the bedroom. Okay, that will clear your energy pattern up so you can get some sleep. The other issue that you've got that works really well, wherever you work on your finances, for me, it's right here. Okay, clear the clutter out of that because that will clear your brain. Okay, that will get the energy flowing in your brain so you can think more clearly, you can become more effective. Okay, these are just little tools that I personally have put to use. Okay, and I'm going to end up, I think I'll have to, I don't have to do anything. That's the nice part about my life. Company closed and, they said, oh, you're no longer working. I'm like, well, at least I don't have to quit. But you see, when you look at these little self-help books, you notice there's a little ghost here of a lighthouse. Well, here's the thing. I don't have to worry about copywriting that because that little lighthouse is right here. I took this. This is why I like one of the things that my printer does. Okay. I took this down to my printer. They took the photograph. And once they had the photograph done, they ghosted it onto the back of these. Okay, which is why they're all going to stay the same way. But I don't have to worry about copyright pictures because, well, I get my own. Absolutely, Ferret. And that happens to way too many people. Okay, this is why when you're taking a look at that, is it possible in your home environment, not your work environment? You'll have to deal with that. Think of it this way: you're working in an environment that is toxic. You're working in a sewage plant. You can't do much about the sewage coming in. Okay, but at home, do you have a place where when you get off work, you can take a half an hour, even if it's on the way home, where you can take a half an hour, sit down and just relax? Okay, you find a place to sit down, clear the clutter out of the way, and just sit there, and you literally, for just a half an hour, sit down, put your hands on the ground or on something solid. Maybe it's a recliner, maybe it's simply putting your feet up on your couch. Put your hands palm down on something that normally sits on the ground. Okay. While you're doing that, visualize the excess energy running through you, coming out of your hands and into the ground below you. This will help drain off all that negativity that you're dragging with you, and net result, you'll get a better rest. The sad part of it is there are so many people stuck in toxic environments that they don't know how to get out of. And I will tell you this: whatever you do not quit your income, your job, until you've got a replacement. Now, in your case, or in your case, Ferret, from your standpoint, okay, don't quit your job. That pension may be extremely useful. Because I will tell you, apparently old age pension ain't great. So from that standpoint, these are little tools that will help you cope until you can create the world you're aiming for. Okay. Now, I do know, because I've got the room to do it, I've just got to run a couple of things through my editor to make sure I get the wording on it right. And again, put that in the wrong one. Put that in the place where it's not in the way. You know, there's a reason, like I leave this up here. You know, this funny little sign. It does light up, but in case you haven't noticed, we do that. I don't think you can read it at all. Nope. That's why I don't turn it on. Because if I turn it on, you can't read it. Don't know how I could correct that, but hey, what the heck. You know, but this is when you're looking absolutely bizarre. I do not like vertigo. It's a pain in the neck. When you're looking at changing your world, okay, absolutely, Black Dragon, that will certainly help. You know, as you visualize, and yeah, I will do that. As a matter of fact, I'll do that in very short order here. Because I think, what do we got here? What I was just adding was on this Friday. I've got tomorrow. I still haven't got a starting topic. Okay, but on Friday, because Thursday I'm just not on air. Period. Okay, I'm just not. That doesn't mean I won't answer an email. It means I'm not doing a live stream. But on Friday, I'm going to take a look at this whole thing about energy flow. We're going to go through it in detail and explain why it works and help you come to understand it. Because the reality is what people don't have, it seems, is a knowledge of that first couple of steps to get things moving. So many of you desire your life to change, but you've got no clue how to get it moving. And I will tell you, the first step is not the hardest. Everybody can make the first step. You know, the second step is usually reactionary, and you liken it to the way that a child learns to walk. They get up in the first place. That can be a struggle to get started. Then you take the first step. Well, the second one is usually trying to catch your balance. The third one is a deliberate choice that you're moving forward. That's the hard one to get to as far as I've seen. You know, when I look at it, I've got over 100,000 clients under my belt. And yes, I did decide to open the consulting door again. I took 6 months and did absolutely nothing with it to speak of, but came to the conclusion that when I look at it, I've got I've got the consulting, I've got the books, and I will have the printing. Okay. You know, both the printing and the paraphernalia, which are simply commodities and what have you, but I will be going with that to draw an income. But I've just got to look into a few things to make sure I get it set up right. Okay. Now, the hard part is this: believing that you, an insignificant individual, you may be seeing yourself that way. Oh, you know, all these people, they've got all this talent and I don't. I'm telling you, you're looking at somebody, if you're in the chat room, if you're on the computer or listening to this, you're talking to somebody or looking at somebody whose self-esteem growing up was about that big. And that was on a huge day. Now I've reached a point where I will quite readily come onto a show, and I've got to start reaching out to people. Somebody asked me the other day, actually Derek asked me the other day, right at the end of the show, if I would be willing to go on to a show that is traditionally full of skeptics. I don't have a problem with skeptics, okay, because I'm not here to prove anything to anybody, except for the fact, except for the fact that I don't like hostility. And I have been known to hang up on people for apparently very minimal reason. The nice little part about it, I love the idea. It sounds a little backwards there in all fairness, Nathan. Kill them with kindness. I'm thinking killing people isn't, I understand the meaning. I'm just taking it sort of out of context. The nice part about it, I've become extremely sarcastic, which may be a good thing, maybe a bad thing. I don't know. I was told one day I had to learn tact. And I looked at the person, I went, tact? I was very confused at the time about what it was. And she goes, yeah, the ability to tell somebody where to go and make them look forward to the trip. I said, look, I have one problem with that. She goes, what's the problem? I said, if I'm mad enough to tell somebody where to go, why do I care if they look forward to it? For some reason, she couldn't come up with a viable explanation for me. But what I have come to the understanding of is each and every one of you've all reached out, every one of the people in this chat room at one point or another, I think every one of you has reached out. Just by being here, you've supported me. Okay. Oh, absolutely there, Nathan. Nathan goes, sarcasm is an excellent alternative to face punching. I remember a chap phoning me up online one day and he says, look, Keith, I know this is going to cost me, but I need a smart ass remark, and you're the biggest smart ass I've ever met. And I said, okay, what's the problem? He goes, well, I work with one chap who happens to be North American Indian. And I was talking to him. We're just co-workers. We get along. But this other guy was walking by me and he goes, don't you have a home to go to? Right. Obviously, he was referring to the fact that this client of mine was talking to a North American Indian. And the guy goes, how am I supposed to know that? How am I supposed to deal with that? I said, you got one of two options. You look at him and you go, well, of course I got a home to go to, but they let me out at night. I says, the other option is you look the guy dead in the face and you go, well, yeah, why? You jealous? And I mean, you catch people with a statement they're not expecting. Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And they really do get lost in a hurry. Myself, if I can find a way to help somebody see a brighter side at this point, you might call it a little selfish, if you will. Because the reality of it is this. Okay. When I help somebody feel better, I don't deal with the empathic resonance of them feeling poorly. Okay. So I just go out of my way to see what I can do about it. I had the most amazing run-in yesterday. It was yesterday because I didn't go out today. I didn't go for the walk today. Went down to the park and I spotted a guy sitting on the bench and he looked a little unhappy. So I stopped to double check with him to see if he was okay. Just spoke to him for a couple of minutes. And the amazing part was I went back to my loop to make the walk. And the lady I first ran into, she asked if the guy on the bench was okay as well. So I told her, I said, yeah, I just finished talking to him and he's just taking a break. Right. But the fact that people are starting to look at each other in that fashion is absolutely incredible. And this is what we can do with a future that is not as yet written. Okay. You desire to be successful. Take a look at the people that you feel are successful and quite seriously ask them how they got there. Now, most people will happily talk about what they did, about their own strengths. Okay. And they will absolutely, most of them will literally tell you how they got where they are. The other, the other 5% will tell you where to go. But, I mean, I remember seeing a guy one day, and I looked at him, he was going by, and I says, have yourself a good day. He spun on me, and he goes, don't tell me what kind of day to have. I'm like, okay, and I'm thinking in my head, okay, go play in traffic. Do us all a favor. But it is time to start making things happen. We've got a world that is an absolutely amazing world. Okay. But it's up to us to point out the amazing side of it and not devalue it by going, somebody else is in control of it. Whether it's God controls it or the elites control it or the religions control it. No, you control your world. Everybody else has an influence. But you got to remember, if you're looking at the aspect of God, okay, you've got free will. You don't have freedom from consequence. And this is why I follow 3 laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay. You follow those 3 laws, and I do feel you will find your life turns around incredibly in a very positive fashion. Okay, that is one of the biggest things we have to look at, is you've got a choice. Are you going to buy into the negativity that is being propagated all over the place? Or are you going to start focusing on the positive things that you can accommodate? Okay, that's the thing you got to look at, is what kind of a world do you desire? One where people are supporting each other. This room, I am so encouraged by the cooperation and the encouragement I see, not just from people towards me, but to people in the room that are helping each other out. Now, where are we here? I gotta hit refresh. See, the nice part about it, when we take a look at things, okay, I've got to look at it this way. There is so much we can do with each other. In my case, I'm looking at a few things. Okay. Now, obviously, my first thing that I've got to finish off, and I've got to, quite frankly, I desired it out a few days ago, but got a little, shall we say, caught up. Okay. So, I've got the newsletter that's going to be coming out right soon. Well, it'll be out before the end of the month. Okay. And of course, I've got my horoscopes that have to be submitted tomorrow. Haven't quite figured out what to do with the future of that. Right. And of course, I've got a number of books that I've got to get moving on. Okay. But the big thing, the energy that and if you can see energy, I'm sure you'll notice there is a very different feel in the room behind me. Okay. That's going to continue to improve as I eliminate the things I no longer require. Just looking up here. Got nothing there that has to go. Got stuff and got books down here I'm just not going to hang on to, because the odds of my ever reading them are just not good. But now we should have covered that today and we got a little sidetracked. So let me see here. I know what I'm doing Friday. Oh, don't want that book. I want the expansion on it. So let's call this up, because I think I know what I'm going to look at here. Book. Let's bring that. Oh, actually, it's this one I require. If I take that and we go back to there. And What is that? That's an interesting setup. Have to take a peek at that and find out what's going on. Let us take a look here. We minimize that. Shrink that down so I can actually read it. And let us take a look. Now, let me ask you this, guys, because I'm just looking at tomorrow. Okay. Now, I've got an option. I've got one and two options. I can either look at the various different technology that because I'm going to go back and deal with the UFO stuff tomorrow. Should have been doing it tonight, but didn't work out that way. I got sidetracked. Tomorrow, though, let me ask you this. I've actually got one of three options. I can look at the hybridization program. I can look at technology, alien technologies, or I can combine the two, which are my three options. So from that standpoint, think it's likely going to be, as a matter of fact, I know it's likely going to be that. Because the hybridization program really is technology. So I take a look at this, and tomorrow is the 23rd. So, tomorrow, what I'm going to end up dealing with, okay, I'm going to turn around tomorrow. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. It sounds like we're starting to recite Macbeth here. Not necessarily the best move. But what's going to happen tomorrow is I'm going to start looking at some of the more commonly recognized and yet almost unilaterally misunderstood technologies that the off-worlders are using. Okay. And rest assured, we are not talking about something that is being traded in the way of military firepower. Okay. Will I touch on some of the weapons they've got? Certainly. But I'm not about to tell you how to make them. First of all, I don't have the Terran technical background to be able to do that. Nathan, on the other hand, maybe does. Which ought to get his attention in a real hurry. But I will take a look at the technologies tomorrow. Thursday I won't be here, and then the Friday we will take a look at energy flow and how to make it actually work in your life, not only in your house. Okay, not only in your house, but in your body as well. My son was asking me today why it is that I heal at the speed I do. Well, it's because I understand energy flow. Can it be taught? Absolutely. But the catch to it is you've got to believe it's possible. The old saying, seeing is believing, is a little misleading. The reality is believing is seeing. Because until you believe it's possible, you're not going to recognize it anyway. That's just the reality behind it. But I got a whole pile of things I got to work on, and I really do have to stay focused on it because I have let way too many things slide. So, these books here, these books are a simple issue. But I will tell you, where it comes to consulting, okay, I do with consulting. I work video at this point. Okay, I may make exceptions depending on the person. Okay, I do just straight phone, but there's so much information gets lost. Okay, but those little books I was showing you, those are the backbone to how I change things in my life. Will they work for you? I cannot guarantee it, but I will tell you it depends entirely on your own efforts. Look at that. By the way, some of the stuff I said I was giving away at Christmas time to the as gifts that go that are going to families that are a little short of stuff. Yeah, it's here, but I am starting to charge the items with an extra little bit of insight to go with them. You know, and the fact of the matter is, for me, it boils down to, yes, I could turn the stuff over to a secondhand store, just give it, or try and pawn it. And in all fairness, it's not the worth the hassle to pawn it. Okay, but it may not be a bad idea. I've actually never set foot in a pawn shop, but the stuff I've got doesn't make any functional sense. Most of the stuff I've got doesn't make a lot of sense to try and resell. So I'm just not bothering. Okay, but when you get an idea in your head that you're not content with your life, do not drop your current income until you have a replacement. Okay, this is absolutely critical that you keep this in mind, because the moment you drop a stable income, you put yourself into a bit of a bind. I currently have, now understand, I went bankrupt once because of creative financing. Bad idea I was really good at. It took $1,000 credit limit and jacked it up to a $2,000 limit before they cut it off. Could I explain how to do that again? Certainly. But understand, I did it at a time when it was easy to do it. Not a good setup. Then I turned around and went bankrupt a second time because my boss bounced the paycheck and never told me about it. And neither did the bank, by the way. So I mean, from that standpoint, I've gone from 2 bankruptcies to being now, I'm actually further in debt than I ever have been, but that's because I bought a brand new car. Okay. Black Dragon. The frequency healing, when I'm talking about energy flow, we'll be dealing with that at the same time. But that is an excellent thought line. Because when you alter, and every single one of you has the capacity to alter the frequency of the energy in your body. Okay, every single one of you does. But on Friday, it's not a question of I won't tell you how, but on Friday, because right now, a little too complicated, but I will spend time covering how energy works, how to generate it in your own body, how to transfer it outside of your body, and thereby how to facilitate your own healing. Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. They're all linked together. Okay, but it's time that we work together to make this happen. The funny part about it is I sit here talking about it. I've got my window open, which means anybody coming through the front door to the apartment building is still hearing what I'm talking about. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but nobody's throwing a glass of water through the window at me. Bear in mind, that's actually doable since I'm on the first floor, as in ground floor. Yeah, definitely been sitting down a little long, but that's okay. Where are we here? Coming down to the last little, well, we're hitting the 2-hour mark at this point. But that being said, I got a whole bunch of things I've got to deal with, not the least of which is my inventory. Okay. And what I mean by inventory is not, let's do that. I had to stand up. There, now you can see me again. Hey, look, I got a halo. That's really bad. Tilt that down a little. There we go. See, now we've got a halo. And rest assured, I'm not that good. But When you desire your life to change, you're the one that's got the capacity to change it. And just remember, and this is why I send these bookmarks out with any book I'm selling. Okay, every book gets one of these. Okay, the reason being, well, frankly, it's a message that is extremely important. See, I'm just looking at this, and this is where my mind does all sorts of weird things. I'm sitting here, I got this light right above me. Now, you can look at that, I stand up, and I've got a halo. I look above it, and oh, look, we've got a portal opening above our head. Now, where does that go? This is where the imagination can come in extremely useful. That is very much the case there, Ferret. You know, Ferret's just saying heavy weighs the crown. Thank you so much there, Chad. I do appreciate that. You know, the neat little part about it, and the other side of that, let us just see. There. Nope, that was wrong. That one. Okay, now we bring this back up so I can actually see what I'm doing. And this is actually the email address that works for the most part. Okay, it works to get a direct email transfer if you're in Canada or through PayPal. Okay, if you're not. And there it is there. That's the easiest way to track me down via email. You know, the reality of it is there's a lot of changes that I'm absolutely looking at implementing. As they get made, I absolutely intend on taking as many of you with me as I can get away with. You know, they tell me it's lonely at the top. Well, I figure if I'm warned it's lonely, then it's my responsibility to make sure I take enough people with me. Okay, I'm just looking at that video, you know, and this is my own comment. You know, I'm looking at the state of my body, and yeah, it's a heck of a sight better than it used to be, but I'm not impressed with it. Now, I'm not going into weightlifting to make anybody happy except me, and I won't be going into, you know, I won't be going into bodybuilding by any functional stretch. You know, I'm just interested in getting myself back in better shape. Or in better shape. I'm actually in better shape now than I was 30 years ago. You know, one of them, now, yeah, again, if you guys have a topic you desire to look into or that you'd like to broach, absolutely drop me a line in the comments below. Let me know how you feel the stream went. Okay, I am now looking for different venues to discuss what I've written and really bring the spotlight onto the books to start making that into a viable income. Okay, because needless to say, I know the information myself is sound because it's the same stuff I personally work with. And I am getting decent response. You know, the nice part about it, like I was looking at it, and you know, we're getting, you know, anywhere, we're almost always in the teens. Often we're breaking into the 20 mark in the room. Dogface, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Somehow I think you've confused me. You know, the reality of it is this. Okay, when you decide you're going to make your life better, it will, by its very nature, make the lives of the people around you better. Okay, it's just like if you start going down a bad path, it will complicate the lives for people around you. So therefore, yes, the comment that you're known by the company you keep is absolutely a viable comment. Okay, one thing we have to realize is, from my end, it's this. I am now looking and driving to really make this into a global change. Okay, now, yes, I can concentrate on the people around me, but that would indicate I'd have to leave the room. And that might be a little bit of a hiccup. So, again, if you've got a topic you'd like to deal with, absolutely drop me a line, let me know, and we will do our best to get it booked in ASAP. Right now, I'm just starting to get things organized properly, which is why I know what I'm doing both Wednesday and Friday. Haven't picked Saturday yet. Sunday, of course, will be open, and then we'll go from there. Now, that could be an interesting conversation, but, Black Dragon's going topic. The mysterious Chad Smith, does he really exist? Well, I know I've personally, if I recall correctly, I've actually met Chad. So yeah, at least in my world, he exists. Sadly, my memory of the number of people I've met is a little limited on occasion. But it's time. Yeah, and Chad goes, he exists in my world too. It is time, really, for all of us to concentrate on the positive changes that we've got available to make this world a better, to redesign this world as a better rendition. The question is not, are you going to live? The question is, how are you going to live? And are you going to set things up so this world is better when you leave than it was when you got here? Now, I know for an absolute certainty it's going to be better when I leave. Because like I said, some people I make happy by arriving, most by leaving. Well, this means they're going to have, let's face it, people are going to have a wake when I go. They're going to have one heck of a party. Of course, I'm a little picky there. I figure it comes out of the estate anyway. I'm going to throw a wake about a week before I die. Either that or they're going to pronounce me dead. I'm going to walk out of the morgue again and go, I'm not done yet. Like they did in Monty Python when they drugged the old guy out of the house during the Black Plague. And he's screaming, I'm not dead yet. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Ferret. I'm just closing down right away here, too. We're just hitting the 2-hour mark here. That is one, Ferret, that is one of those sounds I love the sound of when the person knows how to play it, is the bagpipes. Of course, my heritage is Scottish, so that might explain part of that. Oh, hecky. At 10 years old, or 5 years old, I was diagnosed dead and shipped to the morgue. I didn't agree with them, so I left. But with that in mind, guys, absolutely thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. I will be back again tomorrow. Okay. And tomorrow we're going to look at alien technology and its place in their world. Okay, I will do my best to explain some of the more common things that people are aware of. Okay. And pass that on. Okay. But until then, so if you like the stream, do give us a thumbs up. Okay, do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. That would be really appreciated. Until we meet again, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.